What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to another edition of the What's Up Show. And I hope you like the new What's Up shirt I have. Eventually, I'm going to have it out for sale. And it's beautiful. Black shirt. Got my What's Up logo on it. Got my QC code and stuff on it. But today, it's President's Day. And what day is this? It's the 16th. It's the 16th or the third Monday in the month. And so today is President's Day. So we're going to go ahead and talk about President's Day on this show. But before I do that, I want to make sure that you guys subscribe, that you push that like button, send me some comments, and take the survey at the end. So today I'm going to do the show by myself. I'm not going to have Kevin Samuels, the AI from ChatGTP 5.2 on today. I'm going to go ahead and just do the show. So let's talk about how the President's Day started. Originally, it was called Washington's Birthday, honoring George Washington. It became a federal holiday in 1879. In 1971, the Uniform Monday Holiday Act moved it to the third Monday in February to create a more 3-day weekend. And we all like 3-day weekends, right? I love 3-day weekends. Pretty soon we're going to have every weekend, it'll be a 3-day weekend. I love that. And we only work 4 days a week. So even though people call it President's Day, the official federal name is still Washington's birthday. Now, it celebrates Washington, Abraham Lincoln, who was born in February 12th, and often all the U.S. presidents. That's what it normally does. And so, let's see. What do Americans do on President's Day? I know I usually would just kind of stay in bed, but they normally, on President's Day, I think the government offices are closed. Schools are probably closed. Major retail sales will be booming out. They'll have all these President Day sales, selling mattresses and cars, and everybody be going crazy, going on the President's Day sale and sell out, you know. And then there might be history lessons and documentaries on TV, or there might be patriotic events where people will have parades and stuff. Right? So on today's show, we're going to be talking about who are the 5 best presidents and who are the 5 worst presidents. That's who we're going to be showcasing today. And then I got a little quiz for you at the end. All right. So let's start out with the 5 most impactful, highly ranked presidents that we have had. And these are based on historian surveys and long-term impacts and not popularity contests. So the first one is George Washington. Good old George. I like George. What dollar bill? What is he on? Is he on the dollar bill? I love George Washington, man. Look at him. Our very first president sitting right there. And I think he had wooden teeth too. The guy had wooden teeth, wooden dentures or something like that. But that's him, George Washington. So his party, he was not in any party since he was the first president. So he was independent. And why is he ranked so high? He led America to the independence. Remember that in 1776? And then he set the 2-term precedent. He established peaceful transfer of power, not like what's going on these days, and he created the cabinet system. Without him, there'd be no stable republic. So, a little hand clap for good old President Washington. The next best president was Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln. He's also on the money too. So go see where you see Abraham Lincoln at. Right? Abraham Lincoln, or faithful Abe, old Abe. I used to see him with the big top hat on and stuff. Unfortunately, he got shot, or he got assassinated. Good old Abe Lincoln. I think they got him on a penny or something like that. And I'm hearing that since Abraham Lincoln liked black people so much, they put him on a currency that was brown. They put him on a penny. So that's what I'm hearing. So I don't know. He was in the Republican Party. And what did he do well? He preserved the Union. He had the Emancipation of Proclamation. And he led the Civil War and abolished slavery in the 13th Amendment, often ranked number one by historians. And I really appreciate him abolishing that slavery, because a lot of black people was involved in that. And so hopefully someday black people will regain their civil rights. And it's a struggle, I tell you that right now. All right, so little hand clap for Abraham Lincoln. Thank you, Mr. Abraham Lincoln. Unfortunately, Booth ended your day while you were sitting up there in that theater and all, watching it play. But then that's another story. Another good president is Franklin D. Roosevelt. Franklin D. Roosevelt. And I'm thinking, when I was born, this guy was in the White House. So I must be pretty doggone old. Yeah, I do believe he was the president when I was born. So that makes me pretty doggone old. But people really like this guy. And I think he had to do a lot with wars and stuff like that. He was in the Democratic Party, and he led during the Great Depression. Oh, I hope we never, ever go through that again. The Great Depression, where 25% of the labor force was unemployed. I mean, it was pretty bad. My parents lived through the Great Depression. Another good thing that he did, he had the New Deal programs. When we get this welfare and social welfare and all these programs that we got today, came out from him, from Franklin D. Roosevelt. He also led the United States through World War II, and that was a pretty brutal war. And thank God my granddad didn't get killed, because if he would have got killed in World War II, I would not be here today. My dad fought in the Korean War, and if he'd have got killed there, I wouldn't be here today. And I fought through 4 wars. I was in Vietnam, Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and Grenada. And so I didn't get killed, and I'm here on the What's Up show. All right. Franklin D. Roosevelt, created Social Security. And I thank God that he did that, so that when you get old, you got a little bit of money to live on. And lucky for me, I'm not dead yet, and I'm getting Social Security. I get it the first of the month, every month. And it's about, it's close to, I'd say, about $2,000 a month. I mean, it's not a whole bunch where you can live off of, but it does pay the rent or the utilities. and I get this for the rest of my life. But I'm hearing that probably in 2030, it's Social Security is going to be cut back probably 70%, or it might run out soon because our population is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and Social Security budget isn't big enough to support all the people that are getting on Social Security. Okay, because the only way that Social Security gets big is it takes a portion of your income while you're working during your working age, and it puts towards Social Security. So the people that are working now are the ones that are paying Social Security. But if there's a lot of unemployment and stuff, then there's not enough people to put into Social Security. So that's the big problem about the Social Security. All right. And he did have some bad things when he took and developed the internment camps and took all the Japanese Americans and put them in internment camps, or we call them concentration camps and stuff. What's the one called? Mansalo, or something like that. It starts with an M. And but I do believe that after the war, the Japanese got reparations for being put in these internment camps, and it was because we were fighting against the Japanese, and so for some reason he thought that even though you're an American and you're Japanese, you might be doing something harmful to the country. So he took all the Japanese and corralled them up, put them in places in Arizona out there, and it was not a good thing for the Japanese. All right, they got their reparations. Black people have never gotten their reparations for being slaves brought over here in slave ships. All right, the next good president was Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt. And if you see me in a couple of my movie videos, you see me holding a teddy bear. Well, that's what they call this guy. They call him Teddy Roosevelt for some reason. Like the teddy bear. They did that with Kennedy too. Called him Teddy Kennedy. So here is Teddy Roosevelt, and he did some wonderful things for our country. So let's see what he did. Theodore Roosevelt, he was a Republican, and the good things that he did real well was he had trust busting for big corporations. So a lot of the corporations would get together and accumulate their trust, and he broke that all up. He's the one who built the national park systems, and he also was the father of the project for the Panama Canal, even though we gave it back to the Panamanians. Okay, I think China runs it now, but yeah, it was given back. A lot of people died when they built that Panama Canal, but that was really good because ships had to sail all the way down to the bottom of Africa and come all the way back up to take and do trade with the United States. And so that increased the fuel bill, and it just took a lot of money to go all the way around the Cape of Africa, and when you could just go right through Middle America, right there at the Panama Canal. So that was a good thing. He also had strong foreign policies, which was good for us. The energy level here, it says 1,000%. You'll like Teddy Kennedy. I like Theodore Roosevelt. I thought he was a fantastic president. So a little hand clap for Theodore Roosevelt. All right, and the last of the 5 great presidents that I have on my show today is Ronald Reagan. There he is. Oh, Ronald Reagan, or RR, like for Rolls Royce. And this guy, believe it or not, he was a movie star. So I seen him in a lot of old westerns and stuff. But yeah, he was president while I was alive too, and he passed on. But he was a real good president. He's the type of president says, "Read my lips," right? And he would take and do some wonderful things. So let's see, what did he do? Ronald Reagan uh, had great economic growth during his times in the 1980s. He had fantastic tax reforms. He helped end the Cold War. Okay? He told them to went over there in Berlin and he says, tear down this wall. Right? That's what he said. Gorbachev, I'm telling you, tear down this wall. Right? And he had strong communication skills. And so his critics debated his deficit growth. They didn't like what they call Reaganomics. They didn't like that. But other than that, Ronald Reagan was a great president. So let's give him a big hand. All right, some other good presidents I know were, let me see, was John F. Kennedy. Right, but we're doing the five best presidents, and so John F. Kennedy would be number 6. But he was a pretty doggone good president too. All right, I like Jimmy Carter too. I liked him. He was a smart guy. A lot of people didn't like him, but I like Jimmy Carter. All right, now we're going to go into the 5 lowest ranked, most controversial presidents. Let's see who they are. Number 1 on the list was James Buchanan. All right, the Buchanans were not considered a good president. And we can see pictures of him right here. Okay, they did not like this guy. Okay, so why didn't they like James Buchanan? And I think he's on some money too. Okay, why was he ranked so low? He failed to prevent the Civil War. There was a lot of deaths in the Civil War, and he just let it go on. He had weak response to the Southern succession. The whole Southern states wanted to leave the United States, right? And he didn't put up much opposition on it. Okay, and he's often ranked the worst by historians. So he liked to have slaves and stuff, and cotton fields and stuff. He was ranked the worst. Okay, another terrible president was Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was also another terrible president. It's funny how all these terrible presidents wound up on our money. Yep, he's on the money too. This guy right here, look at the big frown on his face. He is a terrible president. And so Andrew Jackson opposed civil rights for freed slaves. So, you know, this kind of guy did not want black people or slaves to be free. He didn't. And he was the first president that was ever impeached. So they really didn't like him in Congress. Impeach means to get rid of, to throw out, to fire. So he was the very first president to be impeached. Bad president. Another bad president was Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover. He didn't do anything, right? He let the economy just go down the tubes, right? He didn't care. He cared about himself, but he didn't care nothing about the country. And so he let the doggone president let the economy go into a Great Depression. The Great Depression crash response scene, and he was seen as very weak. He was part of the Republican Party. So we got like 3 so far bad presidents that were Republicans. The next one, another Republican was you know who it was. I am not a crook. I am not a crook. right? It was Richard Nixon. You know, he's got a library not far away from here. And I went down there and looked at some very nice library. But Nixon, he had a foul mouth. They got some recordings on him talking on the phone. And of course, he was in Watergate and all that kind of stuff. But he used to call black people the N-word. And he was some criminal here. But he got on the TV and said, I am not a crook, right? And he left. He just left his office. So he was a Republican. That's four of them, right? And the only thing good that he did was he opened China, right, for trades back and forth to China. But the bad thing that he did was he was involved with the Watergate scandal with the plumbers that came in there and was stealing documents and stuff. So it was so bad that they was going to impeach him that he resigned. He resigned his office. He quit. And he's the only president to have resigned. So he left in disgrace. And the last bad president that we have here is the one that he's serving his second term, is Donald Trump, another Republican, right? So we all know this guy right here, right? And he's MAGA. He wants to make America great again. And he's done everything the best you ever seen before. Believe it. Everything that he's done has been the best that has ever been done before. Even his medical, whatever, giving out COVID-19 vaccines. He was the one who gave out the most and better than any president ever before. So he says. But you can see what he's wound up in the news. I mean, the news, everything in the news is talking about Donald Trump, right? Everything in the news is talking about Donald Trump. So he's a Republican, and supporters credit him for tax cuts, Operation Warp Speed on the COVID vaccine development. Remember them, right? Remember them years in 2020? I remember that year. That's the year I got fired because I wouldn't take it. They threw me off campus, said you got to work at home. Yeah, I remember COVID vaccine development. He improved the criminal justice reform. A lot of the judges that he elected were under his term, and so we're feeling the wrath of that right now. The critics point out that he, unfortunately, he has two impeachments under his belt. In his second term, they gave him 39 felonies. He's got 39 felonies. He's got two impeachments. Then he's credited for the big riot that we had here at the Capitol on January 6th. And then all the ongoing legal controversies is going on with this Jeff Epstein and all that mess. And he's a highly polarizing president where either it's Trump's way or the highway. So everybody can see what's going on with President Trump being the president. All right, so now we're going to go down here and see if we can take a quiz. I'm going to give you a quiz here. So I want you to take and go ahead and see if you're able to take this quiz. All right, so let me put it up here for you. So go ahead and get a paper and number it from 1 to 10. and we'll see how you do on this one. All right. So I won't have a survey for this show, but I do have the quiz for you now, so you'll be able to grade it. So we're going to take a President's Day quiz. How presidential are you? So question number 1. Who was the only president to serve more than 2 terms? Was it Abraham Lincoln? Was it Ronald Reagan? Was it George Washington? Or was it Franklin D. Roosevelt? Okay, go ahead and put down what you think the correct answer is. You know, right now, they can only serve 2 terms, but there was one president that served more. Who was that president? All right, the correct answer is D. Franklin D. Roosevelt, only president. That's how much they liked him. Was able to take and serve for more than 2 terms. Of course, we had the war going on, and so once you got a war going on, they kind of want the same president to still be in office, right? So it was Franklin D. Roosevelt. Okay, question number 2. In question number 2, it says, who purchased the Louisiana Territory from France? What president purchased the Louisiana Territory from France? France had a whole bunch of territory in the South, and we bought it from them. So, who was it? Was it Thomas Jefferson? Was it John Adams? Was it James Monroe? Or was it Ulysses S. Grant? Which one of those presidents was in charge of the presidents of the Louisiana Territory purchase? Okay, the correct answer is A. Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson. Even though we didn't like him, I think this president had some slaves too. But the correct answer was Thomas Jefferson. And since he liked slaves, and most of the slaves were down in the Louisiana area, that's why he wanted to purchase it, right? So number 3, question number 3. It says, which president resigned from office? Okay, you should get this one. I just told you that just earlier in this show. The only one that resigned from office, was it Bill Clinton? He should have resigned. Was it Andrew Johnson? Was it Herbert Hoover? Or was it Richard Nixon? Okay, now all 4 of them presidents have done something pretty bad. All 4 of them. But which one resigned? All right, and you should know it. The correct answer is number D, Richard Nixon. He's the only one that resigned, got on his plane, put his peace signs up and said, I am not a crook. Goodbye, America. I am not a crook. All right? All right. Goodbye, Richard Nixon. Number 4. The question reads, for number 4, it says, who was president during September 11th attack? And we remember that was very tragic. I remember laying in the bed. It was around like 9:30 or something like that. And I was just about ready to get up and do something. And I saw this on the TV. I saw the Twin Towers being attacked. I thought it was a movie. I thought they were doing a sequel to a movie. But it's in real life. That's the first time I ever went outside and saw no planes flying. They had a no-flies order on the entire United States. Not one plane in the sky for days. It was amazing. And that's the first time I felt kind of scared. When I saw the planes, going into the Twin Towers, And then when I saw it going, crashing in that field over there, and when I saw it hitting the Pentagon, I was going, oh man, we're under attack. And I didn't see one fighter plane out there doing anything. Not one. Okay? They told me that there was some military exercise that was going on, and the military pilots couldn't tell if it was a real scenario or was it the military exercise scenario. And so everything got all confused. So there was no military response while we were under attack. Okay, so the correct answer for this is C, George W. Bush. He was okay president, right? So they kind of rated him and his dad to be pretty good presidents. But this was one bad thing that happened on his watch, was September 11th attacks. Okay, number 5. At number 5, it says, who issued the Emancipation Proclamation? A very important document here. The Emancipation Proclamation, freedom. Was it George Washington? Was it Ulysses S. Grant? Was it Woodrow Wilson? Or was it Abraham Lincoln? All right, go ahead and mark your answer sheet. And the correct answer is D. It was Abraham Lincoln. And when he did that, a lot of people didn't like him because they didn't want to lose their slaves and stuff like that. I do believe Abraham Lincoln kind of also wanted slaves too, but he just kind of did this, to take and improve his position in the White House and all. But a lot of people didn't like that when he took and did this, the Emancipation Proclamation, which kind of contributed to his assassination. All right, number 6. The question for number 6 is, who created the Social Security program? All right. Now, the Social Security program was designed to give you like just a minimum income, in your senior years. It wasn't designed for you to live on, but it was to give you a little bit of subsistence so you can buy some food, some gas and stuff. Because, like when you get old like me and everything, you slow down, you're not working now, but your bills still come. So the government, said, well, since you've been a good citizen and you contribute to the American way of life, we're going to pay you back when you retire. Okay, now, you did, while you was working, a little bit of your income, about 5 to 8% of it, went towards Social Security. So you were paying a Social Security tax. And to get the Social Security, you had to pay all 20 quarters of the Social Security. So to get Social Security, you had to pay it all in so that you could get it like when you retired in your mid-60s. All right. And so you can get it all the way up to the end of your life. And it's a wonderful thing. But as I said, the money only comes from people that are working. So since our workforce is decreasing, we're not getting enough money to subsidize Social Security. So they're going to start cutting Social Security probably sometime around 2030. All right. The guy who invented it or started it up was Franklin D. Roosevelt. That's why he was a very liked president. Franklin D. Roosevelt developed the Social Security program. Okay, for number 7. Number 7, we have, the question is, which president was a Hollywood actor before entering politics? Okay, it seems like all of them are Hollywood stars, especially Trump. He's on all the TV and all the news all the time. So, but who was a for real actor in Hollywood? Was it Gerald Ford? Was it Jimmy Carter? Was it George H.W. Bush? Or was it Ronald Reagan? Which one of those? And as I said before, I've seen this guy in a lot of westerns, old westerns. And the correct answer was Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was a bona fide Hollywood actor. Number 8, it says, which of these presidents here was never elected as either president or vice president? There's a guy that came in and did the job of president because something happened to the president of the United States. He was never elected as president, and he wasn't elected as vice president, but he showed up. Who was that? Was it Harry Truman? Was it Gerald Ford? Was it Lyndon B. Johnson? Or was it Joe Biden? And the correct answer is B, Gerald Ford. That's right. Gerald Ford showed up because the president before him was gone. right? So there it was, Gerald Ford, right? And they always laughed at him because he always kept bumping his head and stuff. And so they made him look like a very clumsy president. Gerald Ford. Number 9. Who is credited with writing most of the Declaration of Independence, right? And have you ever seen the Declaration of Independence? They wrote it in cursive writing and some very nice writing. Who wrote that? Was it John Adams? Was it James Madison? Was it Thomas Jefferson? Or was it Benjamin Franklin? Very nice manuscript. Okay, almost looked like calligraphy. Just fantastic. Who is the person who wrote most of the Declaration of Independence? And the correct answer is C. It was Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson wrote most of the Declaration of Independence. And the last question for today, the last question of the day was, who was the youngest person elected president? Who was the youngest president elected for president? Was it Bill Clinton? Was it Barack Obama? Was it Ulysses S. Grant? Or was it John F. Kennedy? Who was the youngest president? I was reading something about John F. Kennedy dating Marilyn Monroe or something like that. I don't know. It seems like those Kennedys are always into something. I think we got a Kennedy still in office right now. And that Kennedy might run for president. I think he's named right after his dad. All right, so which one of those Kennedys was the youngest one ever? And the correct answer is John F. Kennedy. John Fitzgerald Kennedy was the youngest person ever elected for president. All right, I want you to look and see how many you got right. And we're going to look at the grading scale. So we're going to go ahead and count. If you got 9 to 10 right, you are a presidential scholar. And congratulations. All right, very good. If you got 7 to 8 right, you're a cabinet level intelligence. Very, very good. Very good. If you got 5 to 6 right, you are senator status. Very good. Now, if you only got 3 to 4 right, you're city council material. And if you got 0 to 2 right, you need a civics refresher. So I hope that you did very well on this quiz and all. And I hope that you enjoyed today's show, looking at all these wonderful presidents. Donald Trump, Richard Nixon, Herbert Hoover we looked at Andrew Johnson, we looked at James Buchanan. We also looked at some of the great presidents like Ronald Reagan. We looked at Theodore Roosevelt. We looked at Franklin D. Roosevelt. And we looked at Abraham Lincoln. And the first president we looked at was George Washington. And I hope that you learned something today on President's Day, instead of just going out and making some burgers or going shopping or going to one of these presidential sales stuff. At least you have a little historical knowledge, and you'll be able to take and enlighten other people on why we actually celebrate Presidential Day. And also tell them to take and go look at my channel, right? Tell them to subscribe, like, take and put some comments on, or take the survey. So that concludes the President's Day video on the What's Up show. What's up? What's up? I did it all myself and didn't have Kevin Samuels. All right, what's up? Enjoy your presidential day. What's up?